Good day, owners, and welcome to Tuesday, the day after the first week of football. It's great matchups on the TV. Love the Denver game and love the Pats game, and just exciting football to see. And I hope you all enjoyed it. And here's a little look at Week 1 in review in 60 seconds.
Mark Istook here with Sunday in 60 seconds, Week 1. Okay, Thursday too, because dental hygiene is important. Already, Melvin Gordon with infinity times more touchdowns than last season.
Touchdown, Melvin Gordon.
Hey, rookie, welcome to the big time.
Caught for the touchdown!
In Atlanta, they call him famous.
Touchdown! 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 Touchdown!
Jameis. In New Orleans, Derek Carr with his best Cam Newton impression. Meanwhile, DeMarco Murray with his best Derek Carr impression.
Murray leaps! Touchdown!
In New Jersey, it's a sack party. Andy Dalton, you're the guest of honor. Hey, Joe Flacco, look out!
And it is Buffalo football.
How about DeAndre Hopkins? Doing DeAndre Hopkins things.
He has a touchdown.
Aaron Rodgers doing Aaron Rodgers things.
Trouble throws as he's hit. Touchdown!
Simply remarkable, and that is what Aaron Rodgers is.
And Ryan Tannehill doing Ryan Tannehill things. Ouch.
Devoured! Thrown down in the end zone!
Giants Cowboys, welcome back, Victor Cruz. Need some chips to go with that salsa? And in Arizona, Jimmy Garoppolo is the best quarterback since Tommy Brady.
And then down the sideline, getting open is Chris Hogan for the touchdown.
One last gasp, whoops, no, over. Ball game. So, is Derek Carr still flipping out? What did this ball boy ever do to Julian Edelman? And is Alex Smith still going berserk? Football, welcome back.
It's caught by Baldwin. Touchdown! Touchdown!
Slices in. Touchdown, Kansas City wins it.
He has it. He held on to it. Low snap, and the kick is no good.
And both our games this week, Thursday and Sunday, come down to a missed field goal at the end.
Well, good day, owners, and welcome to our first regular season webcast. I'm your host, the Commish, and I'd like to welcome you to Week 1 in review. It's in the books. We all got to see how our teams would do after we saw our draft and see how it worked out on paper. And pretty good week going forth, I think. We'll sum up what went down for you folks that are not looked. I'm pretty sure you all have. But Mean Green Machine rolled over Tuscany Mayhem, 177.5 points, which is something new to us with the assistant tackles, to 117.5. Connolly's Crusaders came back from behind on Monday night to win 177.5 over Steel Curtain at 153 points. Mac Daddy beat missing Megatron's Johnson 155 to 106. Katie and Assassins handily took over Too Tired and came from behind with Ben Roethlisberger's performance on Monday night for 154 to 116. Jethro's Heroes also trounced Luke Ass Kickers 157.5 to 140. And last but not least, Huey's Hogs showed no mercy on the newbie into the league, Forces Fockers, and they took them 134-84, another Monday night win there as well. Trophies handed out this week on the website. Best crushing win was Mean Green Machine over myself, the Tuscany Mayhem, with 60-point spread there. Lowest score of the week goes to Forces Fockers, racked up 84 points in their Virgin week. High score for week 1 is split for the $10 prize, so here we go, $5 each, even with half points it came out as a tie. So 177.5 to Mean Green and Connolly's Crusaders. And fewest points in a single matchup, which runs through the whole season. So Team Forsey holds on to that right now with their 84 points. Anybody comes in lower than that trophy will move over into their showcase. And so that's what you're going to need to do there, Todd, is hope for somebody to get less than 84 points, which I think last year I had 42 in one matchup. So it does happen. I broke down some things. If you had played the perfect team and left no points on your bench, how the scores would have worked out. Best coaching this week goes to Jethro's Heroes. He was perfect. 157.5 was his score, and that's the best score he could have had. No better points left on his bench. In the case of everyone else, we all left some points on our bench. In the case of Steel Curtain, if he'd actually played his perfect team, he would have ended up with 191 points, and he would have beat Conley's Crusaders. That was the only person that would have, with the best team, would have beaten the person he was playing. Everyone else still would have lost, including myself. Mean Green could have put up 192.5 points, and I would have put up best 159.5, so no close. Steel Curtain would have put up 191. Conley could have put up 182.5. Mac Daddy 168 was been his best, and missing Megatron's Johnson 130, 24 points more there left on the bench. Katie Assassin's pretty close. They left 20 points on their bench. They have an awesome bench this year as again with tons of points down there. She could have put up 174.5 and too tired. Best he could have done was another 6 points for 122. Like we said, Jethro perfect 157.5. And Lucas could have came closer but wouldn't have won at 153 if they played the best bench. And Team 4C would have got a pretty good score, 138.5 if they'd had their proper lineup in. And Huey's Hogs would have got another 24 points and been 158. So only game that would have changed would have been Steel Curtain. So right now in the standings, I haven't printed them up, so I can't tell you how it goes. But yeah. Another thing, this is Katie Assassin's third year in a row winning their home opener, or opening season game. What else we got? Okay, week 2 matchups. We see Steel Curtain taking on Tuscany Mayhem as one of them tries to get their first win. Mac Daddy's Madhouse takes on Mean Green Machine in the Battle of Brant. We've got Too Tired taking on Forcey's Fockers, also trying to come up with a win with one of those teams. Missing Megatron's Johnson takes on Conley's Crusaders. Jethro's Heroes takes on Acadian Assassins. Finally, Blair can talk the talk or walk the walk. And Lucas Kickers takes on Huey's Hogs for our final matchup of next week. Good luck, everyone. Top 10 players this fantasy this week. Number 10 was Ben Roethlisberger last night. For Pittsburgh, quarterback, Acadian Assassins had him and started him. Next was number 9, Matt Stafford for Detroit. The Conley's Crusaders had him on the bench. Not a big deal because they had another quarterback start further up the list. Number 8 was Alex Smith, Kansas City quarterback. MGM had him on the bench as well. Willie Snead, New Orleans, wide receiver. He sat on my bench. And Spencer Ware, Kansas City running back. He sat on Steel Curtain's bench. And he actually turned out to be one of the top wide receivers because his catching yardage was way more than his running yardage. D'Angelo Williams, Pittsburgh running back. Conley had him started. Came part of the win for him last night. Brandon Cooks, New Orleans, wide receiver for Mac Daddy. He had that 98-yard run, touchdown pass. AJ Green, Cincinnati wide receiver. Mean Green Machine had him, and he was part of the reason I got my ass kicked. Andrew Luck, Indianapolis. Colts quarterback. Conley started him over Matt Stafford. He was number 2, and the number 1 player this week, you probably all guessed, Drew Brees, New Orleans, and Jethro's Heroes, also his keeper, so it worked out good for him. The rest of us keepers didn't fare too well in week 1, but Jethro's Heroes keeper did amazing. ESPN, as you probably all knew, frustrating start to the thing. I spent Sunday at the horse jumping at Spruce Meadows with my mom. Things you do to stay in the wheel, huh? And getting texts from owners about not being able to get online, ESPN, and sure enough, their system crashed Sunday morning, and I don't think we could get on until the later games in the afternoon. So they put out a notice, and it's on the front of our website, and it says, we apologize for the outage that occurred in fantasy football on Sunday. All services have been restored, and stats and game matchups for week 1 are current and correct. If your lineups were affected by the outage, your league manager can adjust them retroactively. Ours wasn't. Please visit the ESPN support portal to learn how to do that. So we didn't have to worry about rosters getting screwed up. So that was their apology. They say it's not going to happen again. We'll see. They're really pissing me off. So I did go on their Facebook page. There was a whole whack of people on there bitching. So I got on and basically said, I know it's free, but come on, man, and get your shit together. So anyway, so their predictions for week 1, they predicted 3 out of 6 matches right. They had Connolly's Crusaders beating Steel Curtain, which they did. The points were nowhere near what they said. Both teams were over the points. They had 133 and 130. Missing Megatron's Johnson and Mac Daddy's. They had that one wrong. They had Megatron winning. And Mac Daddy actually came out with a win that week. Tuscany Mayhem, Mean Green, they got that wrong. They predicted my team beating Mean Green. We all saw that didn't work. Acadian Assassins, they picked that right, beating Too Tired. They picked Jethro's Heroes over Luke-Ass Kickers right, and they predicted the Four Seas Fockers winning their first inaugural week, which we all know didn't happen. And they lost to Huey's Hogs. So they're batting 3 for 6, 50%. I put down who I thought was going to win on the site. I'll go back, take a peek. I'll let you know during the season how I'm doing on who I think was going to win and how I'm making up. I think I'm about 3 for 6 as well. Points. Top running wide receivers for the week. We had D'Angelo Williams from Pittsburgh at number 1 that's running backs. So the number 1 running backs in week 1 for points, D'Angelo Williams for Pittsburgh. Connolly's Crusaders had him. He put up 40 points for them. And best bargain of the week, something I'm going to do, was guy drafted 95th overall in the 8th round. Theoretic Detroit. Acadian Assassins started them as their flex and got 27 points out of that. So great draft there. The worst running back started was Devontae Booker for Denver. He ended up with -1 point on Four Seas Fockers. Todd came to me or sent me an email and said, how come this guy has negative points? And so we said, you lose points for fumble. He came back and said, there's nowhere on the ESPN scoring does it show points lost for fumble. And sure enough, it really doesn't. There is a thing there that says in miscellaneous -2. So I couldn't figure out why he had -1 point and not -2 for a score. But when the scoring came up on the sheet, you can bring it up all the points he got. He actually lost 2 points for the fumble, and then he tackled the guy who picked up the fumble, and so he got 1 point as a defensive player for the tackle. So that ended up making it -1. So there is -2 points for a fumble, and that has been in our league all the time. Best wide receiver over the weekend, AJ Green for Cincinnati. Part of my defeat to Mean Green Machine because of that, and 46 points for him. The worst started wide receiver was Des Bryant, and he had 1 point. He had 1 pass for 7 yards. I think it was the first play of the Dallas game, and then didn't do anything for the rest of the game. Number 1 tight end, Jack Doyle, Indianapolis, 18 points. He remains undrafted at this time. I'm pretty sure maybe on the waiver wire today. He's getting some action there. Best bargain for your buck went to Dwayne Allen, Indianapolis, Steel Curtain. He got 17 points. And he was drafted in the 15th round, 170th overall. And the best bang for your buck on the wide receiver front was Jordan Matthew, Philadelphia, Connolly's Crusaders, put up 29 points. He was taken 81st overall in the 7th round. Your worst tight end started was Gary Barnage for Cleveland. Too Tired had him, and he took 0 points in his start this weekend. Quarterbacks. Russell Wilson, top quarterback, of course, Drew Brees, 50 points, Jethro's Heroes. He was his keeper, so nice job with your keeper. And best bang for your buck was my guy, Jameson Winston. He put up 33 points. He was drafted in the 13th round at 148th position. Worst starter, QB, guy started with his heart, Robert Griffin III, put up 8 points. And sadly to say, Robert Griffin also blew out his shoulder, so he is probably out for 8 weeks. And the other big loss this week was Keenan Allen for me, wide receiver, San Diego. Blew out his knee and gone for the season. The other notables, Russell Wilson has a high ankle sprain, and he's questionable for next week. So Mac Daddy, have to keep an eye on him. What else we got for stats? That is about it. Defensive player. We saw that they seemed to average around 7 points, pretty close to a kicker, maybe even worse. The best defensive player of the week was Kwan Alexander, if I'm saying that right, for Tampa Bay. He had 20 points, and he's undrafted. Actually, the first 22 defensive players on the top, defensive players for points, the top 22 aren't even drafted. The first person to draft a player that was there was Thomas Davis. He was 22nd overall, but he sat on Lucas's bench. And Rashad Jones from Miami, he sat on Huey Sock's bench. So the first to start a defensive player was down in the 24th spot, and that was Luke Kuechly for Carolina. And that was Forsey's Fokker started him. The worst defensive player started, surprisingly, was J.J. Watt. He came up with half a tackle, so he got half a point, and that was for Connolly's Crusaders. The top defense this week was the Vikings. They put up 22 points. Mean Green Machine started them, another factor in getting my ass handed to me this week. The worst defense started was Kansas City, Connolly's Crusaders, and they put up a big fat goose egg of 0. The kicker, Dan Bailey for Dallas, he put up 17 points. Connolly's Crusaders had him, and the worst kicker out there was Chandler Chantazaro, I believe his name is, Arizona. He put up 2 points for Too Tired. So great weekend of football, Thursday through to last night. Some great games. In the May House here, I got myself as a Pats fan, you got my daughter as a Broncos fan. So our number one saying this weekend, favorite 2 words, was wide left. If you watch both those games, you'll understand the field goals to make both of our teams lose. Both missed, and we came up with the wins both there. So going on to next week, waiver wire is open today. I believe it's going to shut down tomorrow morning, so you'll be able to see who you've got through the waiver wire. Like we said, we didn't get our draft in, our waiver wire change locked in before our draft, so it is the same as last year, worst to first after each week. So that has me drafting 4th, I do believe, or not drafting, but waiver wire 4th overall. Forsey's Fockers have first choice in the draft waiver to pick up players. Next week, Thursday's game. Make sure you have your players locked in if you have any New York Jets or Buffalo Bills that you want to start. And Monday night's game is the Eagles against the Chicago Bears. And there is no buys next week either. I think buys will start kicking in. I think I saw week 3 might be the start of buy. So we'll keep you posted on that and keep an eye on that for your players who you're going to start. That's about it. Nice and short. And we'll get back to you next Tuesday. Have a great week, and have a great weekend of football. Take care.